Welcome to Sweatpants and Stories, the podcast where we get comfy and talk about the books we love. And today we are talking about the seasonal holiday favorite, Love's a Witch by Trisha O'Malley. Right?
All right.
Cool.
So we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but we're going to anyway. And so I'm going to start by reading the blurb on the back, if that works. And unfortunately, I have to hold it out a little bit because I think I'm veering towards reading glasses. She's Hex, he's vexed, and for Scotland's most magical town, their feud might just spell disaster. Sloane McGregor swore she'd never return to Briarhaven, but with her 25th birthday looming, the day witches come into their magic, her grandmother summons her back for one tiny task: break the centuries-old curse haunting their bloodline. Knox Douglas, Briarhaven's grumpy mayor, has worked tirelessly to make his town a haven for magical folk. The last thing he needs is a cursed McGregor wreaking havoc. It doesn't matter he once crushed on her. For the sake of Briarhaven, Sloane has to go. But magic has other plans, and in Briarhaven, love really is a witch. What do you think? You think it summarizes the book? Did it draw you in?
I think it summarizes the book. It did actually draw me in. I found this in the store, and I was debating between this book and another book. And reading both of the backs, this one really drew me into it. And then sprayed edges are ultimately what sold me into buying it.
I know.
Yeah,
these are fabulous. I like the color shift. I like the stars. Honestly, I had no idea that the dog creature, I forget what his name is, was on the bottom.
Wait, no, I forget too.
What is he?
What's he called?
He's an Ember Wolf.
Ember
Wolf. That's it. Yep.
We said the same thing. We're not sisters.
But yes, I didn't realize he was down there until this moment.
Oh, so, really?
Yes.
Oh.
No, I had no idea. I just thought it was all the stars until now, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, there he is with his wings. I had no idea.
It's Blue.
I know. That's fabulous.
He's our boy Blue.
That is fabulous.
Yes.
And I like the cover. I like the cover art. I think they did a really nice job. Again, I like a good cartoon look, feel. It brings in the library. It shows you the town. She looks very cozy. Again, it has the dog on the front, or Ember Wolf, which I did notice, but I just didn't notice him on the side.
Okay. So I like to talk things through with my husband. Somehow that works out best, right? And he was looking at this cover, and he was trying to decide what the book would be about based off of the cover. And what he noticed is something that I didn't actually pick up on, and it's that the swirl is only around her. Because she's getting her magic. And so he was like, I think she's the witch because the magical swirl is circling her. And I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that either, nor did I see this fire coming out of the book.
Yes.
I did not notice that either. So
yes, witch has a very specific explanation, I guess.
Yeah, purpose in the book.
Yes.
Yep.
So
and there's the curtains hanging. You know what? They actually did a really nice job of pulling together a lot of different elements into a cover. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So well done.
Yeah, A+.
Well done. A+. I agree.
And now we come to our favorite part of the podcast, where we ask the burning questions and get our hottest takes. So let's dive into the chemistry check.
All right. For our first question, Knox, as the mayor, is actively trying to get Sloane to leave town. How effective was the author in making their enemy status believable, especially since Knox had a past crush on her? Did his conflicting duty to the town feel genuine enough to sustain that tension?
I think that the author did a good job with it, because you did get that enemy status right off the bat. You know, he just lets himself into their house and takes her luggage and is like, y'all are leaving, like, bye. And so it was like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. This is what we're doing. And their back and forth was just, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I did
I
too.
thrived for their back and forth because they were both just like snarky and they were standing where they were, like they weren't budging, and it was just a good, like, enemies. Like I believed it. It was very
Yes.
believable. And at the beginning, he was thinking about the town,
Mm-hmm.
which I totally understand. Like you have this big role. You are basically a knight, right? He's part of
Yes.
this order of knights. And he takes that so seriously for the town. And he did this huge revamping of the town so everybody can thrive and be comfortable. And then all of a sudden, she comes in.
Yes.
And it starts all of this chaos. And I feel like he was torn in a way.
Yes.
But at first it was town first, feeling second, where he was, banning her from the bookstore, right? And just doing all of these things that made her uncomfortable and hoping that she would just up and leave. But then I think he felt bad, and then his feelings did start to show, and he was like, okay, there has to be another way. And so he was trying to find that balance of how can I do best for the town, but also how can I help Sloane, because she's been dealt this really tough, hand of cards, and he's a fixer. Like that's what I got from this book, is he is a fixer.
Yes.
If something is not right, he needs to step in and find a way to make it right, where everyone's happy. So that's what I thought.
Yes, I felt that in my core.
Yeah, in your core, in your core,
in my core, in my core. As a fellow fixer, I felt that tremendously. No, but I would agree with you. I think your characterization is spot on. So wholeheartedly agree.
Oh, yay!
Yay!
All right. Well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
All right. So while Knox is the grumpy mayor,
yes,
Sloane is dealing with the chaos of her curse and getting her magic. So who did you ultimately consider to be the grumpiest in this pairing? And then how did the other character just try to help to lighten it up a little bit?
Yeah, I will say when the book first started, the scene that you were talking about with the luggage going back and forth and in and out of the car and the snow swirling and all of those things, I really thought that in those first couple chapters, he was the grumpiest because he was so adamant, you've got to leave, I'm putting up roadblocks, like that's it, you have to leave the town. And then I felt like it shifted. And then for the rest of the book, she was, and grumpy may not be the bad word, but she was just dealing with so much. I think it was taking its toll on her. And I think her response was just very overwhelmed and almost negative. She's dealing with the challenge of, we've created this snowstorm just by being in this town, which was crazy. I will say though, for that one piece, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a slight little tangent. I was very happy they explained how they were able to live there for that many years prior, because I didn't understand that at first, because they were saying they had to move so quickly from place to place, but they had stayed there for an extended period of time. And that piece, it took a while, and then they finally explained how that happened with the charms, and they did all the extra magic they had to do to keep it. That I thought that was very helpful. It was a helpful way to explain it, because at first I'm like, what happened here? And is this an error in the book? But it was not. It was well done. So anyway, sorry to digress, but I do think she struggled so much throughout the book, just trying to understand, what to do to break the curse. I think the stress of having to be the older sibling and taking care of the family, the grandmother, is rehabbing from her surgery. The town is angry, and she's just trying to pull it all together. And so I think at every turn, she was just struggling with that. And that came out in, maybe a grumpiness, right? If you want to phrase it that way. But I do think that, she was probably the more grumpy of the two of them throughout the book. And then I think he helped her, because then as he started to change his mindset and want her to stay and want to help her, because she was, as you said, right, just dealt a tough hand of cards, then that helped pull her out, helped her see a little bit more of the, the sunshine, the positivity and things, that she could stay, that she could fight for it. So ultimately, I think they helped each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. It wasn't necessarily grumpy, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't want to say grumpy.
I know. It doesn't feel like the right word.
Yeah, when you think grumpy, you think of like grunts and
Yes.
like, stomping
like the
around.
curmudgeon of,
like
her neighbor that was shoveling that would give her the double fingers, I would assuming what it was. Yes.
Yes. And when she said the 2 finger salute, I was like, oh, he's going like this.
Or a peace sign. And then she said it wasn't the peace sign. And I'm like, what 2 fingers would you be using? And then I realized which 2 fingers they were.
Not a friendly 2 fingers.
Not a friendly 2 fingers.
No, I was just like, oh, hey, neighbor.
Not that. 2 different fingers.
Yes.
On 2 different hands.
Yes. But yeah, I would feel how she felt.
Yes.
Right? Like, you are just so used to up and moving so quickly that it's almost like you're just waiting for the shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and at that point, the snow was coming down.
It was crazy.
Really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, some businesses, like someone's like almost like roof had collapsed or something.
The awning collapsed or something.
Yes. Really bad. And
mm-hmm.
I understand her uncertainty and, but I think Knox was great.
Yes.
He helped her through. I feel like he tried to keep the positivity going.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
Gotta hand it to him. It was good.
Agreed. All right. Well, let's actually dive into the curse a little bit more. So the curse was the main driver, one of the main drivers of the plot. Did it feel petty or tragic or necessary for the story? And then were you satisfied with the explanation of the curse and the resolution or partial resolution of the curse by the end?
Yeah. I do think it was necessary. I feel like the book wouldn't have had the magic.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Throughout it, had it not had the curse.
Yes.
Right? Because you wouldn't have had that. It's different if the curse happened like randomly.
Yes.
But this one was a century-old curse,
mm-hmm.
which I think she handled so well in writing because you got the scene where the curse happened.
Yes.
So
it's very important, I thought.
Yeah, you really understood that connection. Like, oh, wow. Okay. Like, this girl, she must have really loved this prince because immediately she turned on her friend and cursed her for all eternity. And I think it was handled so well. And the connections were so good because the person who told, this McGregor to leave was actually one of Knox's ancestors. So it was almost like, in a way, they had like a destined meet, something like that. That's what I got from it. And I just thought all the connections were really well.
Yes.
And I think you just needed that curse, right? You needed the curse, and it really just drove the entire book. And yes, we did get a partial fix of the curse, right? So at the end, Knox pulls the entire town together to try to fix this because we don't know who is related to the cursor, right? Who I can't pronounce her name right. It's like Vela, but I would call her Valia.
Yeah.
And I put the I in the wrong spot. So that person, we don't know who in the town is related to her. So they couldn't figure out who to use for the potion to fix it. So then they just used everybody in the town.
Which was very smart.
It was a very smart idea. And I loved how that just kind of brought everybody together. And in a way, it was like, we support you now.
Yes.
Like, this is us trying to help you and in turn help the town. And so I loved that. And yes, it did only partially fix it for a short amount of time, because in 11 months, we are going to get the other curse when Lyra comes to be 25. And so then we will have to figure out the next part. But I loved that because it wasn't just a quick fix in the end. It was this is where we're at for now, and it fixes it. And then let's dive into it in the next book.
Yes.
So it really makes you want to just dive right into the next one, which isn't out yet. But when it does come out, I will be reading it.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. And I like to, just again, we're reading this around Halloween time, hence our festive attire. And I thought it also did a nice job of introducing an external conflict for them to deal with, right? Which was great. And it also gave us a nice way to weave in the magic elements of the town, which was neat. I'll be honest with you. When I first started the book and I read the first couple chapters, I was like, oh, I don't know that I'm gonna like this. I don't know that this. And then it really did suck you in, and I felt like the curse was a nice thread that she pulled through the entire book, that intertwined everybody. Every character was dealing with something as a result of the curse. And so it was just, I thought it was necessary, just to kind of pull together all the different pieces.
Yeah.
So
no, I completely agree with that. I think she just did a great job.
Yes.
And it was very appropriate for the time of year that we are reading this.
Yes, agreed.
It got me right into the season.
Yes.
All right, so Sloane's magic awakens chaotically due to the curse.
Yes.
Leading to events like unseasonal snow.
Yes.
So how did the unstable, chaotic nature of her magic enhance the comedy or the romance?
I think it enhanced both of them, I would say, because again, it was just another element of unpredictability in the book, right? It was just that much more conflict that was being introduced, right? You now have this curse that we have to resolve, right? You have the introduction of the coven, who were their own, lively characters in the book, and just, that whole dynamic was different. And then she finally gets her magic, and at first it's like, well, it's just ordinary, and she's a little disappointed, right, about just having ordinary magic. And then it's like, oh my, every day is new magic, and what's going to happen? And I thought that was so, it was fun. It was lighthearted. It gave her some good moments, with the shades catching on fire and the disco ball, turning into glitter and going over everyone in the costume party. Like, it added some really fun elements, I thought, to the book. And it made it cool, because otherwise you would have had the curse, you would have gotten her magic, they would have still been on the quest to break the curse, but I think you would have missed those moments. And two, I think it contributed a little bit to the romance as well, because then it was driven by her, growing emotions. And it seemed like every time they got together, something misfired with her magic, which made it even, funnier, right, from a book perspective. So I thought it was well done. It was woven in nicely, and it contributed to both the lightheartedness of the book and the romance of the book.
I agree. Just the comedic factor when she was driving her car, right? And then all of a sudden, her and her Ember Wolf Blue are riding on a sleigh driven by this giant dragon. And then Nox comes out and then just sees it. And I could just imagine her screaming her face off because she's so scared, and this dragon just flames out of his mouth, and she's trying to hang on, and that just was super funny. And then the scene with the disco ball.
Oh.
It took me a bit to realize that she was the one that exploded the disco ball. I was like, why are they covering? Who did a glitter bomb?
Right.
Oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, she was the glitter bomb. And that was because of the chemistry. All right, that makes sense.
Yes.
Now. But yeah, I really liked it. They did a great job.
I thought so. And I just have to say too that I feel like he was like a master class in being a calm leader. Because my God, that poor guy had more curveballs thrown at him. And then you have a town full of tourists who think this is like a theme attraction, that it's not really magic, what craziness.
The mushrooms.
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine being in a bakery and then all of a sudden the entire window display just turns into piles of mushrooms?
Yes.
And then back to pastries, and then back to mushrooms. And then he just immediately is like, oh, the projector is on the fritz.
Yes.
I couldn't. I have no idea how he handles that with such grace.
No.
Because, just crazy.
Yes.
And then I got a kick out of every time they went to Liam's pub. There was more snow people. because with so much snow, it started out with a snow couple, and then you had like snow animals, and then it turned, there was a kangaroo and a giraffe, and I'm like, and then by the end it was like there's a whole village, and I could just imagine like every time you walk, it's like, oh, there's 4 new people coming out of the snow now.
Yes. All those little subtle things I thought were well done. You know, it just gave you something extra in the story. And I will say too, I think the snow was interesting because at first I was like, oh my goodness, we're reading this around Halloween. I was looking for like a fall Halloween feel book, and now it's snowing.
Yes.
And now they're dealing with a blizzard. What has happened here? But I still felt the Halloween vibe. And I actually enjoyed the coziness of the snow.
Yes.
Because I don't know, but I feel like Christmas is all out in the stores now too. And I was like, well, okay, you know, I'm ready for it.
Yep.
So
pine cones and peppermint fest.
Yes. It was well done. Well done. Anyway, all right. I think it's time for your question. Sorry.
It's your question.
Is it my question? Okay, it is my question. I'm so sorry. I've lost all train of thought.
I know. We're just so enthralled in the book.
We're so excited about it that we have no idea what we're doing or what we're talking about. All right. So this one's around the balance. So this book is classified as cozy romantasy. That's a tough one to say. Did it lean more heavily into the romance, so the relationship, or the fantasy, the magic, the curse, the world building? And was it the right balance for you?
Yeah. So funny enough, I am a huge lover of romantasy. And when I bought this book, I didn't think that this would have been romantasy. No. But I and maybe that's why I'm a big fan of it, because I love the different spin on things, right? And it really did just mix all of it together. I would almost say it had more of a fantasy feel, but not in the way you think, right? Fantasy to me is almost like, I don't know. I was going to say knights, but he is a knight.
Yes.
You know, but it's almost like a medieval time type.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like my version of a fantasy isn't this, but I can see how it fits that category. Because you have the witches and you have the, you know, the curses and the spells and the coven, and everybody has different magic. And I was always curious to see what else Nox could do, because supposedly he's a warlock, which is what you call male witches, which I had forgotten.
Same.
Yep. But he always had different abilities. And so it was, I thought it was actually a good balance.
Yes.
I don't think the fantasy part like bled over into the romance part. I think it was a good, like, we have this fantasy, we have this romance, like, and it was a good mix.
Yes.
Right? Because when they had their romantic moments, then there would be fantasy, like the curse would kind of rear its ugly head and do that. So I do think that it was a good mix. Yeah. Like, and cozy romantasy, I like that.
I like it too.
It really does fit.
It does. It really does. Like, it is a good, as hard as it is, I think, to say that that phrase, it was a good description for this book, you know, and I felt the small town feel, even though there was those fantasy elements in there too. Like, I really just think she did a great job of building the world, taking us through the journey, but still getting us to, you know, enjoy the characters and the feel of the town. You know, it just all came together nicely. So
yeah. Yeah. And I've never been to Scotland. I know you've been close.
Yes.
Somewhere in that vicinity.
I have been in that area.
You might have seen the rolling hills of something. But I feel like I could picture it. She did such a good description of the town, where it was easy for me just to like put myself in the middle of the street and be like, okay, here are all those shops, here's the pub, like here's, you know, all of this. And so I really did enjoy it because I got to lose myself into this world that I've never seen anything remotely close to it in real life. I guess the closest you could say would be like Salem, right? Because it's like the witchiness, which I have been to, but nothing with men wearing kilts. No. Which is, I think, unfortunate. I feel like we need to go somewhere where men wear kilts, because there
was only one event though where there was kilt wearing.
I know.
So, you know, the cover leads you to believe maybe there's a lot more of the kilts, but there was only one time it seemed the kilt made its appearance. So Anyway.
More kilts.
Yes,
That's
maybe in the next book.
That's it. Trisha O'Malley, I know you're writing your next book. Add more kilts. That is my one request, please. And thank you.
That's awesome question.
Yes. It's our final question, guys.
Woohoo.
All right.
In our favorite segment.
In our favorite segment.
We forget sometimes.
So this is the first book in the Scottish Charm series, focusing on Sloane. And so which of her sisters, Lyra or Nova, are you most excited to see get their own book, and why?
All right. It's a good question. That's a good question.
Thank
and
you.
I will say, I think I'm excited for both of them. And had those books been out, I would have quickly gone through and read them all because I enjoyed it so much. And I will probably go back and reread this one when the next one comes out to reorient myself in the world and bring it through. But I do think she set it up nicely for Lyra.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's the next in line. She's the next to turn 25. Her magic is going to come. So, and we already got a hint of the conflict with the first love that didn't, stay and come to fruition. And so I'm excited for her book. I'm very excited for next year to see how this comes together. I will say too that I always appreciate a good epilogue and a good bonus scene. And we had both here, which was fantastic. It warmed my heart. And I think you start to see the preview after the epilogue of Lyra and, sets up her, conflict, right, coming. And then in the bonus scene, if you sign up for her newsletter, you get the bonus scene to read. And it also gives you a hint around, her love interest being with the grandmother and her being confused about, well, why are they, going out on walks together and what is happening here? And so I feel like it further hooked you into, I really want to see what happens here. So I'm excited for both.
Yes, I agree. I'm excited for both. And I really hope that we get a Raven Liam book.
Yes.
Because they were playing at that so hard. And I really hope we get that as well.
Yes.
So I hope, after we get the sisters, we get them.
Yes.
And it's just it's a great book. You really get involved into all the characters.
Yes.
You really get invested in them. And so, like you said, I would easily read the next books had they already been out. But unfortunately, we have to wait until next year.
Yes.
I'm hoping it's at the beginning of next year, so I don't have to wait too long.
Yes.
But that's okay. If we do, it'll be worth it.
Yeah. The exercise and patience.
Yes. I'm not good with patience.
Yeah, well.
Not a virtue. Not one of my strong suits.
Well, you will certainly learn this time.
All right, guys, now it's time where we get to decide where this book falls on the sweatpants scale. All right, so a brief reminder. We have the book could be rated a 1, which is your stiff jean. 2, the unzipped fly. Nobody wants that. 3, the loose-fitting jean, which is what the previous books have been. 4, elastic waist sweatpants. And 5, the cozy fleece-lined sweatpants.
The best. I will start us off. So I will say for me, it was a 4 trending to a 5.
Okay.
On it, which I was pleasantly surprised about. I was very excited. I think maybe, we've had some tougher reads that were great books, just different on our scale, I will say. Yes. This one for me, I was a little nervous as it started out. Was I going to like it? Was it the right read? And then I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was immersed in a different world. I liked the characters. It was lighthearted, but there was still conflict. The dynamic with her parents didn't feel so heavy.
Yes.
It was there, and it was important, I think, for her character development and how you saw things through her perspective, but it also didn't feel so emotional and weigh me down and detract from the lightheartedness of the other moments. So I really enjoyed it. I think where I'm torn is I would read it again. I'm looking forward to actually picking this up again when the next book comes out for her younger sister, Lyra. And so I think I'm between the 4 and the 5, but it was a great read. And I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. I am going to just disagree a little bit.
Oh,
I know we don't have the same score this time.
Then a disagreement.
We're adding some spice to our podcast.
Our own conflict has emerged.
I personally am going to give it the 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm telling you, I was torn.
Yeah.
I was torn.
Yeah.
So I fully support that.
The thing that really pushed me over the edge for the 5 is the main thing is if you would recommend the book and if you would read it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I would for both.
Yes.
You know, I finished the book and I immediately wanted to pick it back up again and do an instant reread, which doesn't often happen with books for me. So, like, I'll reread it, but I'll have to take some time. But this one was almost like one of those movies where the credits rolls and then you immediately want to start it over again. And just that's where I was. I didn't want to leave this town. She did such a good job with the storytelling and just getting you immersed into that town and the holiday feel. And so this is a book that I will probably end up reading every October. It's just, it gets you into that Halloween vibe, that feel. And then you get into a little Christmas feel.
Yes.
So it's that little hint like, all right, I'm going to start getting my tree ready to get put up.
Yes.
You know, like it was just a really good combination. And I think she did a great job. So
I agree.
5 stars.
I agree. And just a good escape. You know, oftentimes, especially with the romance genre, right? I enjoy entering a different world that is unlike my world, and that, you know, just sort of escapes me into a new place and a different, just a different environment, a different mindset, right? She did that wholeheartedly, which I love.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny because it should be unrealistic because of all the magic and the witchcraft and all of that.
Yes.
But it felt realistic
so
to me.
True. So
you know,
true.
It felt like I could go into that town. Like the characters just felt genuine and true, and I want to be friends with them. I want to be in that coven.
Yes.
And be
I would go to this town.
Yes. Like, can I be a part of you guys and not have magic? Is that allowed? Like, I really I want to be a part of this book.
Thank you all for joining us for episode 3 of the Sweatpants and Stories podcast. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and also follow us on social media. Next episode, we will be reviewing The Bombshell Effect by Carla Sorensen. We're going back to a older release for this one. This been out for a few years now, but she has a new book coming out, and we thought it would be good to start at the beginning there when she introduces the Washington Wolves football team. So join us next time for that exciting read.
All right. And until next time, keep your sweatpants on and your stories close.